HMCA did a huge number on NaVi that week. They came out blazing. NaVi did take the Strongholds to begin with last week, but HMCA answered back in a huge way and really took that turning point with the Recharge Slayer. And now NaVi, for me, obviously are an extremely well put together team. They're very organized. I feel like their timing's really, really good, and they play very much by the book. But HMCA managed to combat that so much last week. You know, Tony, talk to me about what you saw with this matchup that you kind of noticed from week 3.
They're good friends and they have such a nice competitive environment to work with, because when you play against a team so much and you know players so well, you can start to double bluff, you can start to second guess, and you can start to try and trick people by going against the norm, or sometimes do the predictable, do what they expect you to, because almost the other team's going to be expecting you to go for something that isn't normal. Really excited for this game 1 to kick off EU week number 4 once more, and it's going to be live fire at Strongholds, which we know is very messy at the best of times.
And you know what? I love that narrative, because HMCA are definitely an unpredictable team, and I expect them to do some unpredictable things going in for the challenge right over to top mid. But it looks like 2Fox was able to predict that movement and send them over to the black screen. Meanwhile, Jimbo able to get his hands on the heat wave and quickly putting it to work.
Yeah, got to put that heat wave to work. It's so important when you do get hold of it that you don't just give it away unnecessarily. As I say that, Overshield has been popped by Foxy. And when the Overshield is on this map, it's such a priority. It's very different to, of course, the Camouflage. Even though Camo can make a big impact and can make big plays, the Overshield, I just feel, gives you that extra little bit of firepower to make a push, especially across to a Stronghold, or to actually solidify guaranteeing a Stronghold. And not only did Foxy get that Overshield, but now he's got a sniper rifle.
Holding down top tower with the sniper rifle, ends up getting the body shot, going right in for the challenge onto Lunny, but Lunny willing to accept that challenge, winning that individual gunfight. The cleanups are going to come in, and both of these teams really heavily trying to focus on this Bravo side of the map. Lunny going in for a challenge, getting a double kill immediately, but the cleanups are going to come quick, and it looks like Bravo is going to change hands over towards our HMCA roster, who are now holding on to a 2-cap. That's a CB setup going on, and Ramirez still holding the sniper on to top tower.
Now, HMCA really impressed us last week with their second place finish, of course, toppling NaVi in those elimination finals. And I think it killed off any questions about this team. Are they serious? Are they here to play? Can they actually still hang with the big boys? Because you got to remember, there's players on this roster that have won championships. Riotz, Ramirez, they've been there, they've done that. They know how to actually win these things, and they want to be at the top once more, but it's difficult when Kimbo's doing this.
Lunny going all the way down to 1 shot, able to get the cleanup kill, and now is stealing away Charlie. So once again, the double cap is in session. 60 points in counting here for HMCA, but the sniper rifle no longer to be in play as it is out of ammo, and Lunny is out of lives, or at least out of health right now. Going over to the black screen, Jimbo now challenging over towards Charlie, going all the way down to 1 shot, forced to back down, and Overshield is going to come in for the bait and switch. That is Riotz coming out with the kill, taking down young Jimbo.
NaVi doing well to not allow HMCA to get too far ahead here. It's sometimes difficult when you're on the receiving end of that trip cap to just desperately run towards a Stronghold as a single player off spawn. But if you do that, not only are you probably going to be taking a fight, at least a 1v1, if not a 1v2, you give away your position and also give away the spawn of your team. You give away that element of surprise. So NaVi have not been doing that. They've been waiting patiently. They've been taking the fights first, waiting for that kill, and then they push into the Stronghold. And now they've been rewarded. They've got a double cap of their own. Points are on the board.
Because of that patience, they're now being rewarded with extra points indeed, because now they're going in for the trip cap. I mean, they already had the double cap in. The trip cap is now in session. However, HMCA are starting to out-rotate NaVi and going after Charlie. Still, it takes 2 points to tango, and as of right now, NaVi still holding on to a 2-point setup and now have the lead 77 points right now going into the midway point of this game. Jimbo now gonna control the net side, going in for the challenge onto Ramirez, ends up taking down the first player and getting some damage onto Lunny as well, coming right off the spawn here into dummies, and Respectful now trying to put pressure on those spawns, but I might have gotten a little too froggy right there. Maybe might have wanted to play his life a little bit better, as 2Fox is going to go down once again. So 2 down, go team NaVi. HMCA might be able to take advantage of this if they can stay alive themselves.
There certainly are those situations, aren't there, where you run into 2 people and you just wish you'd not made that move. You wish you'd gone a little bit of a different direction or maybe taken a different angle, but hindsight is always a thing that you have to consider, and you have to just accept and do as much damage as you can in that area. Overshield's going to be up once more. Lunny should be in a position to get it, but it's going to be actually a little battle here with Kimbo. And I think something that NaVi have done very well in those last kind of few minutes we just watched was being able to just hold A and B successfully. It used to be C and B were the priority strongholds, and you'd hold them, you'd have the high ground, you'd trap them in A. You can do something very similar with A and B. You can hold fantastic angles, make it difficult for them to push through pillars or over from Nest Bridge, and it forces them sometimes around to that power-up area, which then if you are consistently spawning at power-up, you are so vulnerable to losing time to the other team, consistently holding those strongholds, and NaVi have been trying to force that.
No matter what setup you choose to hold, there's always a power position on the map. You're seeing Respectful very well aware of that. If you're going to control an A-B setup, you need to control that sandbag side. You're seeing just that as Respectful now going right in for the challenge. Having Phlux in the sights, excellent damage coming in, ends up backing down right into a nade, and Jimbo goes down. The contestant is going to come in. 2 down go NaVi. HMCA on a bit of a roll. Now going after Bravo and Alpha at the same time, going for that momentary trip cap, and Phlux goes in for the challenge, not able to get that final headshot. Phlux goes down.
Really nice temporary trip cap. You really want to take advantage of these trip caps to score as much points as possible, of course, but at some point you have to give up either A or C. You don't want to be taking too many fights and giving the other team a player advantage, because then they'll naturally transition to B or A comfortably, and then you will just be giving away those points that you could have been accumulating. But this one is a really tight affair. This is what we want to see in Europe. 2 of our top 3 teams who both want to be that #1 realistically, but it's so difficult with how well Ascend have been playing week after week, so instead they're competing for this #2 spot.
I'm loving the way HMCA is playing right now. They're clawing their way back into it every single time they do. NaVi seem to answer back, but finally we might end up seeing a lead change here. As I said, that Bravo is being taken, so Lunny and Riotz gonna work a little 1-2 combo on their way to Charlie, gonna try to out-rotate the team going for Bravo, making sure the tower is clear before committing to this cap, but little did they know Respectful was over towards the Nest side. Easy damage coming in, but Charlie is gonna be taken here, so a double cap once again, but it's really hard to hold an AC setup. They're gonna have to translate over to that B side, which HMCA are doing just that.
Glad we're on Lunny's point of view right now as well. He's such an annoying player to play against, and I mean that in the nicest of ways. Notice how he was just hovering around C. He was waiting just in case anyone was going to try and take it individually. He's always a player who's got a Mangler, a Heat Wave, Dynamos. Like, he knows the weapons that he needs on the map to give him that extra little bit of an advantage, dropping weapons to get that extra second with the BR shot. He's got it all. Fundamentally, Lunny is such a fantastic player and is someone you need on your team. So I've been impressed with how he's adapted to Halo Infinite. But at the moment, NaVi's still scoring. HMCA just not quite able to break that setup right now, but maybe he can kick off here with Phlux.
Lunny, the newest member of the squad and currently leading in slays, but it looks like Phlux and Lunny are going to go down back-to-back deaths, going in favor of Team NaVi. Riotz, one of the final players alive, going in for the challenge on the 2 Foxy. All 4 members go down for HMCA. You already know NaVi are so objective efficient. They hop immediately onto B and holding onto a CB setup. Meanwhile, Phlux getting a hold of that Mangler. Maybe he can utilize to get a close range engagement, end up getting a quick, easy kill or 2, taking down Respectful quickly. Now going in for the challenge on the Jimbo, but catches the heat wave. Jimbo ends up getting the double kill. Luckily, Phlux cleans him up, steals away that heat wave, but are not putting 2 caps on the board. They have not been putting points for quite some time, and NaVi are just eating right now.
Yeah, this is the biggest gap we've seen in this game so far, but we know Strongholds, it can very easily be turned around. We've not seen much of Jimbo's POV, and you can see just by the amount of kills he's been able to get, he's been in such important positions for his team. He's always been in there to clean up anything that is a one-shot. You know full well he's listening to those communications, he's making sure he's taking those angles, and it's always important you've got someone on the team who is doing just that, and Jimbo now defending A. Oh, unfortunately gets taken down by Ramirez. That's a big kill for Rami. Otherwise, that could have been curtains potentially for HMCA. NaVi could have taken a really big lead.
And now Ramirez taking the angle over towards top mid, but ends up getting shot in the back. It's going to be 2 Foxy getting right behind enemy lines. What a beautiful flank by him to put Ramirez down. Meanwhile, off the screen, Respectful is now overextending over towards Charlie, but has Phlux in his sights. The challenge comes in, ends up jumping a bit too early. Fluxy with his feet planted, gets him a little straight. Easy kill for him. And then going in for the challenge right onto Kimbo. Phlux really feeling himself. I mean, the slays are coming in. And speaking of slays, Lunny putting 22 on the board as well. So Team HMCA are doing good in the Slays department, but now it's time to convert that into some good objective time.
Both these teams are playing this game very similar as well right now. You notice how they will have C and B, and one player, rather than going towards B and helping the team push onto A, they instead go back to defend. But Jimbo, once more, with another double, he just continues to be a thorn in the side of HMCA.
And that's what you want of a player like Jimbo. I mean, Jimbo's little job is to slay, and make things as hard as possible for the enemy team, and he's doing just that, really keeping his team in it, having 23 kills of his own after glancing the headshot in onto Ramirez, going in for the no-scope, ends up getting the melee, and the assist is just as good as the kill when it comes to competitive Halo. Jimbo staying alive over toward the pillars. That's going to help them steal away Bravo. However, Charlie is going into the hands of HMCA. Jimbo now going for a flank, the most important player on the map, goes in for the mind the gap, but Lunny refuses to go down.
Lunny thanking the Lords the barricade was there, that he stays on the map. That could have been a huge play from Jimbo, just not able to get the elevation from the repulsor, and he gives away the sniper rifle into the hands of Lunny, and maybe this could be the start of HMCA trying to take control back of this game. They've managed to close this gap significantly. It was, what, 50-point difference? Now it's only 5 or 6, so NaVi, they're allowing this one to slip through their fingers ever so slightly. Remember, it's first to 250, so still a short way to go yet. But HMCA will be glad they've at least pulled this back.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I felt like HMCA were always in it. They kept clawing their way back into it, but NaVi kept answering back. Even just then, good points being put on the board for HMCA. What does NaVi do? They steal away a momentary trip cap, but here comes HMCA once again stealing the double cap, but Jimbo ends up getting the easy slide. That's going to be easy cleanup, forcing that player to back down over towards bottom. Mid is Phlux, and that's going to allow Jimbo the timing that he needs to steal away Alpha. So an AB setup being held once again. If they can win one more round of Slays, that will look really good for NaVi, but easier said than done with Ramirez off a screen, taking down 2 Foxy. Kimbo going in for the challenge. Jimbo now has that sandbag control that we're talking about so much. Another big kill onto Nest. NaVi have the numbers, and the points are looking heavily in favor of them. HMCA need to make something happen.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for HMCA. Off spawn, 3 players went 3 different directions, and NaVi were just able to clean them up. First was Riotz, then was Lunny, then was Rami, and now this gives them one final push off this spawn to try and stop NaVi from taking this game. They have got someone into A, and with that double kill from Kimbo, though, it's probably going to be flipped A for C. But look, B is being taken as well, so HMCA still in this one right now.
Kimbo stealing away Charlie. As you said, the double cap still in favor of HMCA, putting some good points on the board. Fighting for top, making sure as NaVi, they know exactly how important it is. Jimbo getting the initial kill onto Ramirez. It looks like Kimbo's trying to take advantage of it, ends up going down to one shot, forced to play his life. 8 seconds until that overshield comes up. So it looks like NaVi have afforded themselves a little bit of a lead and a little bit of a timing loss that they can go after this overshield and then utilize it to get the advantages onto the enemy team. Alpha goes in the hands of NaVi. Kimbo starting to up the tempo, ends up finding a play over towards top mid. That's going to be the sniper, ends up getting the back smack and the assist as well. And now NaVi are stealing away Bravo as we speak. One more line of defense. Not for long, killing spree being earned by Kimbo, and so is B.
That's going to be one last quick push. At least A off spawn is going to be taken, so they can slightly delay the points being scored by NaVi right now, but Kimbo getting that overshield was massive. It was risky, that's for sure, but they were hoping that that overshield would be enough for them to get that stronghold, win the game. But what HMCA have been quite fortunate with is their spawns onto A and the contesting over at C, and now they're only 8 points from winning this game.
Sniper rifle in the hands of Kimbo at the moment. Easily taking down A and holding down that top mid angle here, but Lunny, flank comes in. Where did Lunny come from? 2 down go NaVi, and HMCA might be able to steal away the game. Dan, HMCA just stole away game number 1. What a flank. What a flank by Lunny to secure A. If it wasn't for that, they would have easily been able to steal A onto the NaVi side of things. But Lunny getting that kill, getting that reset right as time was winding down. Big win coming out of HMCA.
What do they say? Lunny is just one of those players who just seems to come out of nowhere. When you think you're safe, he's lurking in the background like Scream with a dagger. And he does stab you. He hits hard. It's so difficult when you go up against a player like Lunny. And this whole HMCA roster, actually, they're quite unpredictable. All 4 of them are capable of being that kind of flanker, going down bottom middle, trying to get behind you, sneaking into a stronghold, waiting at the back of a stronghold just to bait you in. And despite a fantastic performance from Jimbo on the NaVi side, we saw Lunny match him for slays. And in general, I mean, Phlux was also there with his performance. Look at that, 17 assists from Phlux. I'd love to see the damage statistics. I do feel like Phlux must have been emitting quite a hefty amount. But HMCA will be delighted with that victory. There we go, 6.7k for Phlux, but 8,000 for Lunny, the most in the game. HMCA, they are here to play, and what a statement it would be here if they could beat NaVi in the winners bracket semis and guarantee themselves top 3 again for a second consecutive week, and just, you know, send NaVi down into that lower bracket. We've always said NaVi is such an amazing winners bracket team, and they've not been performing in those elimination finals. Well, send them down to the lower bracket a little bit earlier and see how they fare against some of those other teams. But what a performance it was in game 1 for HMCA.
And specifically Lunny at that, like you said, going toe-to-toe with Jimbo as far as the slays, when all eyes seemingly on Lunny. I mean, this squad with 3-4, they got top 32 at Raleigh, which is not bad at all, with Clonely as their 4th. Lunny comes in as the only replacement on this squad, and they are not looking like a top 32 team. Dare I say, they're looking like a top 12 or even a top 8 against the world right now. That is how good HMCA are playing, especially against the likes of Team NaVi, who usually hold on to a lead and able to hold it on to the very end. They're a very fundamental based team, but HMCA throwing them off with that timing, getting the slays when it matters most, being objective, efficient, and stealing away strongholds. Now we're going into Slayer. If you can beat a squad like NaVi in Slayer and strongholds back to back, I'll believe that you're a real contender to maybe go at Ascend. We're gonna see if HMCA can do just that.
And this is a really good game type for HMCA as well. We saw them win it last week in winners bracket when they did face up against them previously. So they know they've got what it takes to actually win here on Recharge Slayer. And you speak about, you know, the fact they got top 32 in Rally and then they made that change. And it was a huge change. No disrespect to Clonely. I do still think he's a fantastic player, but it was his first LAN event. He didn't necessarily find his footing straight away. And unfortunately, when you're playing with players like this who want to be #1, like it doesn't matter if you're playing in North America and Europe, these guys, they want to be at the very tip top. They don't want to be a top 32 team. They felt like that change was necessary. Lunny comes in and you can already see the difference it's made. Just his slaying power, his presence has been so good for this roster. I do hope they get picked up by an org so I don't have to call them HMCA anymore. I should have put that out there. These whole like acronyms for team names are starting to pee me off a little bit, but I tell you what, if they're going to be finishing top 2 every week, I'll gladly say HMCA, because consistency is key here in Europe. If anyone can start to match the rosters of NaVi and Ascend, they deserve to be screamed and shouted about. So a really good start for them, but they have to build from here. They can't allow themselves to lose this Slayer and then go into game 3, because we know what NaVi are like, right? As soon as NaVi get a little bit annoyed, as soon as you poke that beast a little bit, they do come back into things and they do show themselves as a completely different squad.
Yeah, and even though NaVi might have lost the same exact game type and map going into last week, I still feel like they're a very strong Slayer squad. I think their ability to slow the pace of the game down on a dime is really important. So when you're going against a team like HMCA that want to knock you off balance as far as the timing, and which they can do when there's an objective kind of distracting you from going in for the slays and for the objective as well, going into Slayer, I feel like NaVi at that point, all they need to do is get into their setup, fall into place and get the slays, and then focus on controlling the spawns from there, which is what NaVi really do best. So I would not be surprised if NaVi come out on top in this game number 2 and force that game 3, because Dan, I know you said if you're HMCA you don't want to see a game 3, but as a caster, I know you want to see a game 3. You're right there with me.
Oh, of course, yeah, we all want to see the game 3, of course. I mean, how many 2-0s have we had in the history of Halo, and we just go through a bracket with a higher seed wins and wins. But I mean, technically, yeah, HMCA are the higher seed, but I still think this would naturally be a little bit of an upset because of the amount of time that NaVi have been a roster. But we're straight into it, and the early slays are going in favor of HMCA. Just a reminder, HMCA did win this last week against NaVi, but it was 50-48. It was so close. Lunny stacked up 21 kills with over 5.5k damage. He was on a tear, and it looks like that's carrying on right now. 6-0 to start things off here.
He was on a tear. They are on a tear right now. Lunny actually having the camouflage and the shock rifle in hand, ends up getting the perfect headshot right onto Jimbo's dome. This is a 7-1 run going in favor of HMCA. And excuse me, because I said NaVi might have the advantage in this one. I was clearly mistaken. HMCA are on a run as the nade not going to connect, but luckily Riotz coming in for the cleanup kill. HMCA, a fastball ends up getting pitched onto the kill feed. Riotz actually getting the direct damage with a grenade. No, this is crazy, Dan. This is crazy.
How hard do Spartans throw grenades for it to actually kill someone? That's what worries me. Maybe Riotz throws out a little extra bit harder. NaVi have been able to get a few kills on the board to at least make this look slightly closer, but still 13-5. I mean, this has been such a fast-paced start for HMCA. If you've got a starting strategy that allows you to get all 4 dead plus the camouflage, then you are going to be laughing. It gives you so much map control. It also puts so much pressure on the opposition team. Look at NaVi right now. Their backs are against the wall. Jimbo getting rushed by 3 players of HMCA. They are swarming.
The communication and dedication for HMCA to actually hop onto every call out is quite impressive and beautiful to watch right now. A 17-6 run going in favor of the boys in red. Lunny going in for the challenge onto Whirlpool, but smartly going to back down. He doesn't want to take any individual gunfights that he doesn't need to. At this point, they're just going to keep counting on that teamwork to get the slays that they need. Mangler in the back pocket of Lunny. Cross map shots onto 2 Foxies in the middle of the map, putting damage onto multiple players. But finally, Lunny going to be taken down. The damage still has been done. Look at the scoreboard.
This scoreboard is worrying for NaVi fans. I mean, we've seen them drop down to the lower bracket before, but to do so against HMCA in the winners bracket semis would be a little bit of an annoyance for them. And they still have time. It's not like they can't get back into this game. It's not completely out of sight just yet. 11 kills, though, is a significant difference. You'd imagine at the top level of Halo, you shouldn't throw away a lead this big, but it does happen. It's all about momentum swings. It's about those power-ups and, of course, about power weapons as well. The sword can make a huge difference if you play it correctly. But naturally, HMCA now can slow this one down and just play one side of the map, Tony. And that's going to really force NaVi to have to push out of certain areas, maybe push into some of these gaps where they'll be vulnerable to grenades. HMCA can make it very difficult for the boys in yellow and black.
That they can, but you know what? When things slow down, I feel like NaVi are at their most comfortable, especially with that sword play. And then Jimbo finally putting his first kill on the board, utilizing that commando. Going right in for the challenge. That's going to be a double kill. So the first 2 kills on the board for Jimbo are fancy at that. And NaVi are not going to give up just yet. They're not even at the halfway point in this game. There is still time. Respectful coming in for the sword. Going to barely miss that slash. And Zad, the sword is going to change hands onto Phlux.
It's exactly what you don't want to happen. You don't want to give that sword away. Phlux has to die here if you are NaVi. He's got to be called out. You've got to prioritize. They do. Can't allow him to get away with the sword and then HMCA set up. But I think you're completely right. NaVi are better when the game is slightly slower pace. So maybe for HMCA, you don't set up. You don't slow this one down. Instead, you keep the pressure up that you've been applying right from the very get-go of this game. Again, it's not easy to always keep that kind of pressure and that kind of pace because you can find yourselves off spawn being taken down 1 by 1. But what was once an 11-kill gap is now only a 6-kill gap. So NaVi doing the right thing, getting back into this one. We've seen some big double kills coming out of Jimbo and also nice necessarily slays coming out from Kimbo as well.
Love to see the comeback coming in out of NaVi. And there's any player that can get their team into it, it's gonna be Jimbo. His comms are very clear and concise, and this man could slay with the best of them, especially when he has the sword in his back pocket. However, ends up losing the first shot onto Lunny. Not gonna matter because he's gonna repulse him off the map for the killing spree. Jimbo losing first shot, but being as creative as possible to get the win on that one. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we are tied up. Never mind that the lead has been changed onto NaVi.
11 kills just thrown away, and you've got to take your hats off to NaVi with how they performed there. They could have really struggled, and they could have had their backs against the wall, turtled up, but I think maybe HMCA offered them a ticket back into the game by slowing the pace down. Perhaps NaVi even forced that pace to slow down by saying, look guys, we're giving away unnecessary deaths. Let's not push out. Let's wait and control. Let's see what our options are. Let's assess the situation, and that's going to be down to 2Foxy, the IGL of NaVi. He's so good at reading the game, and on this occasion, he's got it absolutely right.
Dan, I kid you not. Jimbo was 0-5 with 3 assists. In the short span, I mean, we're going into the halfway point. I mean, there was 23 kills being on the board for HMCA. Jimbo has now turned it completely around, 7-6 with 8 assists right now, and it looks like NaVi are on a run. Meanwhile, Respectful now going to stay alive over towards the long haul side. and the flank's gonna come in. If you have that sword, you have to get to close range. Going in for the gold stairs, ends up getting the first kill. The second one's gonna have to be naded out, but the teamwork is coming in out of NaVi. As I say that, 3 do go down, so HMCA might be able to take advantage of the numbers. We have a 3-kill lead in favor of NaVi, but momentum has been swung onto HMCA.
Goes for the grapple. Oh, the repulsor defeats the grapple on that occasion, and Respectful will fall. 2 swords are on the map right now. I saw that Ramirez had a sword of his own. 35 to 35. HMCA are not going to just roll over and show their belly, despite the amazing comeback from NaVi. And Rami demonstrating his in-game leader needs. You've got to have your IGL step up, and Rami's doing that just now.
That he is, sword in hands, going all the way down to 1 shot. Now going to try to stay alive over towards back gold. Meanwhile, Jimbo's actually right around the corner. The shots are going to come in, putting Ramirez down to 1 shot. But luckily, Ramirez utilized the utility, that grapple, to get out of that disadvantageous position. Still taking some damage, but Ramirez now going to keep his life and the sword as well. This sword is going to be the difference maker into this game, as it's only 2 kills, and the 40-point mark has been reached here for HMCA.
When the game naturally is just going to slow down, as both teams realize they are not far away from reaching that 50-point mark. So we're going to see people over towards Attic if you're NaVi. However, HMCA are just going to try and control the elevator side. HMCA, they managed to actually control so much of this map for so long in this game. Whether it be Attic, whether it be elevator, they've always prioritized the right areas at the right time. And with a 2-kill lead, if they can carry on with that control, it's going to be difficult for NaVi to get back in.
Ramirez still having that sword, patrolling Whirlpool, but ends up getting caught, and the melee's gonna come in. Kimbo ends up taking him down. Luckily, this cleanup kill is gonna come in from Phlux, and I believe Lunny might have been able to get away with that sword and the shock rifle in the hands of Riotz over the top gold. So things still looking good for HMCA. They're 6 kills away from taking game number 2 and the series. Shots are starting to fly. Sword still in the hands of Lunny, patrolling over the bottom side of the map. He has been spotted here, so he needs to be careful. He cannot die with the sword in hands.
Lunny with the sword, Riotz with the shock rifle, and everyone else with a battle rifle as well to work with. HMCA 3 kills away, NaVi need 9. If HMCA keep up this pressure, not allowing NaVi to really push anywhere without being shot and drilled, then they will be progressing to our winners bracket finals, and they will be top 3 once more. 48 to 43. HMCA, are they going to do it again here against NaVi?
It looks like it might be possible. Jimbo throwing the denial nades, trying to stop them from pushing over towards control. Meanwhile, Respectful getting some hit markers as well. Camouflage in the hands of Respectful. He needs to get a flank and needs to put at least 2 or 3 kills on the board without going down. Tough task here for Respectful. Shock rifle still in the hands of HMCA. Respectful now going to make his way over towards bottom gold. He saw 2 players gravitating over towards long haul. He needs to make something happen here, Dan. The shots come in. The first one's going to go down. Ends up getting the double kill, but Phlux comes in for the cleanup, and now they're just 1 kill away from taking this game. Phlux now going in for the challenge. It's just going to come in, and that's going to be it. HMCA have knocked NaVi down to the elimination bracket.
HMCA get 1 up against NaVi once more, and they find themselves in that winners bracket final into top 3. Someone sign this team, because they are here to play now. I had my doubts in the early weeks about them, and a few changes here or there, and then Casey Lunny comes in, of course, instead of Clonely, but they look like a completely different squad, a well-practiced squad that are out for blood. Like, they mean business now, and I think they will be relishing the opportunity of facing Ascend in that winners bracket finals if Ascend get there. At the moment, Ascend are 1-0 up against Quadrant. Just as a reminder, in the other semi-final,